Hey there, and welcome to the Event Crushed podcast. Each week, we'll be chatting about all things wedding industry, entrepreneurship, and how to crush it in life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Event Crushed podcast. This is your host, Becky, and I'm super excited to be back here with you today. As you may have noticed, we did not have an episode come out this past week, and I felt really bad about that, but there's just been a lot going on, and I do not plan on making it a habit of skipping weeks. I, as a whole, have been really consistent with this podcast, and that is very important to me and definitely will not be changing. I just did not have my ducks in a row last week. So I apologize for that. But last week was the Unveiled a Night Out for Wedding Pros event that I hosted on Thursday, and it was so much fun. We had 93 of my closest wedding pro friends. In all honesty, I did not know everybody. There were a lot of people that I had never met before, which was so much fun. And then a lot of my friends in the industry as well. So it was a really good mix of new people to me and those who I've known for years. So it was such a blast. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen some photos that I shared recently, and you probably saw my stories. I shared lots of behind the scenes. We had an awesome content creator there who captured all kinds of fun stuff. So it was an incredible evening, and we will be doing it again next year. We're already in the talks of making it happen again. So if you're an Oregon wedding pro, keep an eye out for October 2026, a night out for wedding pros. It's going to be amazing. All right. Well, I'm really excited to share today's guest with you. This was such a fun conversation because I had not talked to a bridal store owner. I hadn't talked at all about franchising. We just got into some new content for the podcast, and I loved that. And I want to introduce you to Kerrie. She is the founder of the White Magnolia, a premier bridal boutique that began in Jacksonville, Florida, and has since expanded to 8 locations across the Southeast. Her passion for bridal fashion began during her own engagement, inspiring her to create a personalized, unforgettable gown shopping experience for brides. Now leading Magnolia Laine, the franchise arm of her bridal empire, Kerrie empowers other women to build their own successful bridal businesses. Kerrie's goal is to ensure that each bride who walks through the door feels the excitement and emotion that comes with choosing a gown. Kerrie lives in Jacksonville with her husband, 3 boys, and golden retriever, Birdie. We love a golden retriever. So fun. Well, enjoy this episode. I thought it was such a fantastic conversation, and I just loved hearing Kerrie's perspective on how she grew her business to this massive empire of bridal stores. It is really incredible. So I know you're going to love this conversation. Make sure to check out the links in the show notes so you can follow along with Kerrie online and learn more about what she does. All right, and with that, let's welcome Kerrie to the show. Hey, Kerrie, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today, and I'm really excited to hear your story. You're actually the first bridal shop owner that I've had on the podcast, so this is very exciting, and I know that you're going to have so much insight and just a really interesting perspective, so can't wait to get into everything.
Thank you so much, Becky. I'm really excited to be on the show. I've enjoyed really diving into your podcast and learning about you. And I love the great things that you're bringing to the wedding industry. And the information and education through the podcast is so great. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very sweet. That means a ton. Thank you so much for saying that. To get started, I would love to just hear a bit about your story and how you got started with the White Magnolia, what you were doing before that, and what led you to starting this bridal shop and now many bridal shops.
Yeah, it has really been an adventure. And if I can tell you, when I started this 15 years ago, I had absolutely no clue that it would grow to what it is today. I was working in accounting, so that's my background. I went to school for accounting, and then I actually have an MBA, and always kind of had, I guess, a business mind, always loved bridal, but didn't really think at first that this would be the direction I would be going. Of course, I went to school and thought, okay, I need to do something that is practical, something where I can go out into the workforce, get a job very easily. Retail was really never on my radar. But looking back, I actually remember always loving wedding dresses. I loved glitz and glam. I was a dancer growing up. And so I was used to shiny costumes and fancy things. I used to make my mom actually buy me wedding catalogs in the grocery store. I don't know if you remember that. I might be aging myself here, but we'd be going through the grocery store and there would be catalogs of bridal gowns in the aisle leaving. And I'd be like, please buy me this wedding magazine. And I would go through and I would turn over the pages of the gowns that I really liked. So looking back, I feel like this was maybe always my destiny. I just didn't really realize it. So about 15 years ago, I was working in accounting and I just decided the cubicle life was not for me. Sitting in front of a screen at a desk, crunching numbers at the time just felt very impersonal. I missed being with people and having that emotion in my profession. So I decided at the time that I wanted to change, and I actually got engaged during that season of life and started shopping for a gown for myself. And upon doing that, I realized that in our particular area, I live in Florida, and in Jacksonville, where I'm from, there just wasn't a shop that I was really interested in shopping at. And I was really looking for something with a personal, special, memorable type of experience. And everything was very big box at the time. So I decided I was going to leave my career in accounting and go for a career in bridal. And we opened the first shop. My husband and I, now husband, we opened our first shop here in Jacksonville, and that was really the start of it. I jumped in. I really had no clue what I was doing, but it was super fun to learn and grow throughout that process. And then from there, we decided to continue building the brand.
Wow, that is incredible. I loved hearing your whole story. I was laughing about the wedding magazines because, for my own wedding in 2009, like that's what I used. It was pre-Pinterest. It was pre a lot of the online, things we have now. So it was literally like the Not Wedding magazine. And there was one called, I think, Wedding Star, and these were like, they were big. They were thick magazines. I remember my mom sending me some in the mail, this like giant package of all these wedding magazines.
I still enjoy flipping through wedding magazines.
For sure.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I just like having it in my hands and flipping through and be able to turn over the pages. So
100%.
There's so many pretty dresses out there. So it's fun to look at them all.
Yes. So I had a question for you. You now have a business partner. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you and your business partner like team up early on, or did that happen later?
So it actually happened a little bit later. So I opened the White Magnolia in Jacksonville in August of 2015 and started the store here. We quickly found that there was a need down in Tampa. We had brides that were driving up from that area. So Tampa's about 3 hours away from Jacksonville, where I live. And so at the time, I had a great manager who was interested in growing with us. And so we moved her to Tampa and she ran the store there. I was kind of commuting back and forth between the two. And I really hadn't thought much further than that at the time. But at the same time, I had met my now business partner, Mallory, and we met through mutual friends. And we didn't know immediately that we were going to be partners. She and I kind of had a long distance friendship. We were friends through other friends, and we started traveling together with those friends just on little fun couples trips. And she became engaged, came to me on one of our trips and said, hey, I'm thinking about opening a bridal store in Atlanta, and I'd love to talk to you about what that looks like. Could you help me? And immediately I thought, well, yes. Like, are you interested in opening a White Magnolia? We could do this together. We could partner. Let me help you do this. And so that's how her and I joined forces. And truly, that partnership is what allowed us to continue to build to where we are now. So currently we have 8 White Magnolia stores. And then we also have 7 Magnolia Laine stores, which that's our franchise entity, which I'm sure we'll chat about at some point. But we were able to really scale and grow because her and I were able to put our minds together. And funny enough, she's also of an accounting background. So we had that in common amongst other things, but we're both accountants by trade and decided that that was just not the direction we wanted to go. I will say it has been great now because we are able to really fine tune operations and financials and things like that. So it has helped us immensely as we've been on this journey together. But that's how her and I met, just really kind of randomly through some mutual friends. We took a couple trips, had fun, talked bridal, and next thing you know, we were opening a shop together.
Yeah. Wow. That is incredible. When you started the White Magnolia, did you have the vision to have multiple stores and to franchise, or did you just think it was going to be this one boutique shop? What were you envisioning early on?
To be honest, I really didn't have a vision. I was 25 and I was young, just married. We didn't have kids. And so I feel like there was just this opportunity at the time for me to take my future into my own hands and just try to make it something. It wasn't initially my thought that we were going to expand to what it is. But once we started gaining popularity, brides were talking about us, brides were coming from different areas of the state. That really made it clear to me that there was a need in other areas. From there, Mallory and I just kept identifying where there were needs in different areas. So we still do this today where we'll look at different markets. We'll kind of find where is there a hole in the market? Is there a big city or medium-sized city that maybe doesn't have as many stores as they could potentially withstand based on the population and the demographics there? So we'll definitely do a really deep dive on a competitor analysis to kind of see where are there holes in the market, where can we fill these holes. And so her and I just from the next store after Atlanta to the store after that to the store after that, we just continued to grow that way. And honestly, anytime we had a great employee who was maybe moving to a different area and was interested in staying and growing with us, that was also a way that we started looking at other markets and would kind of start investigating that area to see if it was something that would work for our brand. And some markets, were like sure things. Yes, that seems like a great fit for our brand. We can get a great staff there, a great manager, have a great leader in the store. And then other spots just didn't really seem like they would be a good fit. So we really took our time and kind of navigated to see what would be the best fit for our brand and also for our team to make sure that they would be set up for success wherever we were.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And so you said there's 8 of the main original bridal shops and then 7 of the franchise. Is that correct?
Yes. So we have 8 White Magnolia stores, and I feel like I can name them off to you. I might miss a few. I feel like I normally have to go down a list, but we have Jacksonville, Tampa, Atlanta, Palm Beach, Nashville, Greenville, Savannah, did I say that one? Charleston. I think I hit them all. But yes, those are our core White Magnolia brand. So that's our original brand that was founded by me here in Jacksonville. And we are continuing to grow that brand. So White Magnolia, you will continue to see more of those popping up. And those are owned by Mallory and myself. And then Magnolia Laine actually was a brand that kind of came about, I wouldn't say on accident, but we were looking for a way to expand our footprint in the Atlanta market. Atlanta is such a huge city. We found that we were outgrowing our space for White Magnolia really quickly, but also we were finding that we had 2 different price point brides. So we had brides that were looking for more high end, and then we had brides that were looking more at that mid-tier, lower to mid-tier price point for their bridal gowns. So Mallory actually had this great idea that we open a second store. So Magnolia Laine is kind of a sister brand to the White Magnolia, and Magnolia Laine was born as a way for us to separate out price points between the White Magnolia in Atlanta and then Magnolia Laine in Atlanta as well. So it was a little bit of testing the waters to see, okay, we now have 2 bridal stores in one area. How do we make this work? How do we make sure they're not overlapping with each other? And it really proved to be successful. We separated out the price points. We then had more fitting rooms to put brides at the 2 different stores. We were able to kind of filter them to each store. And then from there, we kind of realized, okay, well, we've had people asking about franchise opportunities for years. A lot of people already think that the White Magnolia is a franchise just because we are multi-location. But we were then able to say, okay, well, now we have Magnolia Laine. What if we use that as our franchise entity and start offering these entrepreneur bridal opportunities to the public and allow other people to be a part of what we've created and also guide and mentor them throughout the process. So we have 7 Magnolia Laine stores, 5 of which are franchises, and 2 we own under our White Magnolia umbrella.
Are all of the Magnolia Lanes, like I'm just curious, are they all in larger cities where you also have the White Magnolia, or are they like separate in their own markets?
So it's a little bit of both. So in Atlanta, we also have a White Magnolia. And then in Tampa, we also have a White Magnolia. So there's a Magnolia Laine and a White Magnolia there. And then just recently, we opened a Magnolia Laine in Nashville. So that's also a market where we have 2. We have White Magnolia and Magnolia Laine. But then we also have Dallas, we have Raleigh, Charlotte, and Detroit. And those are all different markets where we don't have White Magnolia. So that was really fun to kind of explore a different area, especially Detroit. That's just a whole different area. Midwest is a little bit outside of our comfort zone. I think a lot of people think of us as being a brand in the Southeast. I think our brand kind of resonates with that Southern kind of bride. I know you're West Coast, so everywhere's a little bit different. It's been fun to explore different markets and kind of figure out what the bride is in each of these different markets, because overall it's interesting. Like bridal as a whole, I feel like there's a lot of similarities across the nation. Like you're going to see that same classic look amongst all the markets in the US, but then you do have these pockets where you might have brides that are a little more simple, or in the South, maybe girls are a little more frilly. You might have more of a boho area of the country. So there's a lot of similarities, but then there's a lot of differences. And so it's taken us a little bit to kind of figure out, okay, where does our brand fit? Where is it going to resonate with the brides? But also knowing that at the end of the day, brides just want they want a beautiful gown and they want a beautiful experience. So also knowing that that's something we can give to them.
Yeah, very cool. So location-wise, you're primarily in the Southeast, but then you also mentioned the Midwest. And did you say Dallas too?
Mm-hmm.
Would you expand beyond that? Like, would you ever consider the West Coast? Obviously, it's a very different market, but have you looked in like markets that are that far?
I would definitely look at other markets. Each of our locations, as they are now, we do try to somewhat cater to that specific market. Even though we are the White Magnolia or we're Magnolia Laine, we do try to bring a little bit of a local element to each of our stores, whether that be through the design, whether that be through the gown selection. So certainly we would be open to West Coast. We've had quite a few inquiries actually from like Colorado, California. I know you're in Oregon. I think we have 1 or 2 from out there. But yeah, I feel like we are talking to people in all areas of the country, which is really cool. We talk to a lot of people. Ultimately, we're trying to find the best fit and the best people for the brand. So if the right person came along in the right market, we'd be ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so fascinated by the whole idea of franchising because it's something like I personally know very little about. So before we move on to that topic, because I also really want to get into experience, because you've mentioned it multiple times now, like the experience that a bride feels when they walk into your shop and like why that is so special. But can you just share a very high level, like how does franchising work?
So I feel like when you first think franchising, it seems very intimidating. I think for a lot of years, I thought, oh, there's no way I can do that. I felt like there was a lot of legal, financial investment, a lot of red tape. So it always just felt very complicated to me. And for a long time, I really didn't even touch it, even though we did have people coming to us and asking about franchise opportunities when we just had White Magnolia. And then eventually I had a friend who their family owns a franchise in a different industry. And we started talking to them, and it kind of all came together. And I think it was explained to me in a way that became less intimidating and more approachable. It was not at all the financial investment that I was expecting. It is expensive, but not near what was brewing in my mind. I would say just the upfront time that you have to put into creating an operations manual, making sure that you have all your legal documents in a row. But that's what attorneys are for. They will do that and make it all kind of seamless for you. But it is navigating a new territory for us still, even though we've been offering franchise since 2022. But the way it works, essentially, just to get into the actual operations of it, is that we are the franchise entity. So we are Magnolia Laine Franchising. And then our franchisees are actually the owners of their own individual stores. So the Magnolia Lanes that are franchises are actually owned by by someone else, but then they are using our brand to be on all their merchandise, they're using our brand, they're using our systems. We're essentially teaching them and giving them the full framework of how we do things. So after having 15 years of experience, I feel like we have really fine-tuned our processes and the way we do things and the way we train and the way that we work with our team and with the brides. So I feel like it was kind of a long time coming because we really had spent a lot of time consolidating all of our processes and procedures. And I do think that's a really big piece of it. Having those kind of fine-tuned allowed us to move into franchising fairly easily. And since we were scaling White Magnolia, we had a proven recipe. Once we were opening new locations pretty quickly. So we had a framework. We knew how to do it. Once it became pretty easy and it was kind of copy and paste, then we knew that we could move on and offer franchise opportunities. So it has been a little bit different. We love our franchisees and we spend a lot of time supporting them now and mentoring and making sure that they know how everything works and that they're successful. It's always our goal to set them up for success. That it's just been a different process, but it's been really fun. And it's just kind of like a new family with our franchise family. So we have White Magnolia, which is Mallory and I's baby, and then Magnolia Laine, which we share with all of our franchisee family, which is really fun and special. It's cool to be able to take the time to mentor and have other people looking up to us to show them the way on how to be a bridal entrepreneur.
Yeah. That's so cool. It's amazing to me that you went from one store to so many different stores and that it sounds like they're all super successful and doing amazing and all the people that it takes to run that many stores. And it's just, it's incredible. Very inspiring.
Thanks so much.
Of course.
It's been an adventure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can imagine. So I feel like I could ask you so many more questions about this, but there's other topics I want to get to as well. And one of those is what I mentioned before, just kind of the customer service and the experience that you are providing in your shops that is really setting you apart from other bridal stores. Like you said, in your own experience, wedding dress shopping, that you didn't have that personalized experience and you felt that was something lacking, something missing. And so you went ahead and just created it, which is amazing. I just want to hear more about how did you decide on, I guess, company culture and the experience that you wanted a bride to feel when she walks into one of your stores. And then I have another part to that question, but I guess I should end there and then I'll ask the second part. But how do you want a bride to feel when she walks into one of your stores? And what does that experience look like for them?
So I always try to think that walking into a bridal store and shopping for your wedding gown can be incredibly overwhelming. There's so many options. A lot of brides have never gone through this process before. It is brand new for most people. And now, you can read You can read blogs, you can see videos online about how the process is supposed to be. But when I first started this, that really wasn't an option. And so what I aimed to do was create an experience that felt warm and inviting. It was a pretty aesthetic. You walk in, you're immediately greeted by a stylist. It's a one-on-one bridal shopping experience. So that is something that's a little bit different for us. When you come in, when a bride walks through our doors, we work with her one-on-one. So we do a 90-minute bridal appointment, and we start by showing the bride around the gown room and talking to her about her wedding. Truly, the process actually starts before they enter our doors. We do a lot of upfront chatting with our brides to make sure that we can curate an experience, especially for them. So my hope is always that when a bride walks through our doors, they feel very welcomed, they feel very comfortable, they feel excited. It is exciting, but a lot of people come in and they're scared, they're nervous. You don't know what a wedding gown is going to look like on your body. It's such a different type of garment than you've ever put on before. And I feel like for those of us that are married, you've been through that experience, so you know, but a lot of brides come in just very scared and nervous, and having someone that can be knowledgeable and help them through the experience and really guide them. That is what we're doing. We are guiding them to their dress. And sometimes it takes a lot of dresses, sometimes it doesn't, but it's meant to be a fun and memorable experience. So I want brides to come in feeling great, and I want them to leave feeling great. Also, I want them to feel like they had a memorable experience, whether they buy a dress from us or not. The goal for me is that they leave feeling good about themselves, and that's always our goal.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, I mean, that's really what we all want. Like, we all want our couples to feel that way when they're working with us, whether it's at a bridal shop or with a photographer or a planner or a florist. Like, we all want to provide that personalized experience so that they feel like confident, because you said it, wedding planning is super overwhelming and it's something new that they haven't done before. And being able to, I think you use the word like guiding them to their dress. And as a planner, you know, we're guiding them through the wedding planning process. Like, they're not walking in alone, and just being that like knowledgeable person in the industry who knows and who can help them calm those nerves and get answers to all of their questions is so important. So of course that makes sense that would be the exact same thing for a bridal store. And I don't know, I've definitely had experiences with, I would say with like bigger box kind of bridal stores, just not feeling that personalized experience. And it feels very like, okay, just checking it off the list. Like, here's the next person. Okay. Like, even just in, shopping for like a bridesmaid dress or things like that, just, not having the greatest experiences. And I just think it's so cool that you have created this. So what I want to ask you to follow up on that is, because you have so many stores, like, how do you ensure that that experience is provided across every single store, and that level of service is, I guess, just being consistent among all of the stores?
Well, we spend a lot of time doing training. So over time, we have built a team who is able to help and guide our managers of our stores. It used to just be me, but as we all know, you're only one person. And at a certain point, as you're growing, you can't be everywhere at once. And so we've been able to kind of train and continually train on what our experience is and how we want it to be delivered. I think for me as a founder and the owner, I have instilled our values and the way we work, our work ethic, how we deliver information, how we interact with brides. I've tried to set the tone on that from the start. And so I think everyone that's kind of worked underneath me over time has been able to see that that is what we're about. That is how we work. We have very, very strong values. We've developed this culture where we all kind of understand that this is our job to help brides, and in this particular way. So we do a lot of just store visits. We have a lot of team members that travel around that check in to make sure that everyone is feeling good trying to make sure that everyone understands the expectation. And really over time, you can kind of see if there is a problem, you're likely going to hear about it. So we really, I'm not saying our process is perfect because, as you know, with lots of brides and lots of locations, there are going to be things that fall through the cracks. But typically, we're usually able to spot issues pretty quickly just by having continual communication and training with our teams to make sure that everybody knows what the expectation is.
Mm-hmm.
We have some great team members that are now on our corporate team level that oversee that have been with us 10 plus years. So that's really exciting. Everyone that's now on our leadership team they're actually members of our team that have once been in the store. They have been a manager. And so we're really lucky to have these very experienced team members that are team members that worked under me and understand my vision. And now they're overseeing and assisting our new managers and helping pass that vision down to them and making sure it's carried out.
Okay. Amazing. I feel like this segues really well into the next question because you mentioned leadership, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the bridal industry is pretty female dominated. Would you say that that is correct?
I would definitely say so.
Okay. So I just want to know, like, what has it been like building and leading an all female or primarily female team?
Well, I will first just say I love it. I love getting to work with women and giving them opportunities. We have about 60 employees amongst our two brands, and it's just really awesome to be able to empower women and give opportunities and see them grow underneath our brands. And I love leading. I think that I would consider myself more of a quiet leader in a way. I really like to listen. I'm a big listener. I like to collaborate. Our leadership team is very collaborative. We all work really well together and we all listen to each other's feedback and ideas. And I think that really helps us continue to grow and pivot where we need to and continue to just be successful and move forward. I think that a lot of times I'll hear, how is it working with women? You're working with a group of women. There's like a stigma of like, oh, there's going to be drama. There's going to be cattiness. There's going to be this. And I honestly have not felt that. And I do think that comes back to the culture you build. We are very supportive of one another. I feel like everybody builds everyone up. Bridal can be hard. It is probably a lot like a wedding planner on the day of. You're up in the morning, you're putting in the hours, you're on all day. And then by the end of the day, it's late and you're exhausted. So yeah. I know we've all been through that as wedding professionals. So I do know for our bridal stylist specifically, it is kind of a longer day and it can be hard. And so I think that we just build each other up, continually are each other's cheerleaders, especially throughout the day-to-day operations when we're running bridal appointments. I think it's great to just have that positive energy. And we've been able to really foster an environment that continues to support one another and grow leaders within the company, which I do think that's the only way you can scale. You have to have those leaders in your company that are going to understand your vision and carry on the vision. And so I would say, to answer your question, I love working with women. I love being able to give opportunity and see growth and be someone that hopefully is a role model and assist them in their career path.
I love it. That's so encouraging. And I mean, I'm with you. I love working with women. There's so many in my area. There's like so many amazing women entrepreneurs that I get to collaborate with. And I think it's so fun. And I think working in an industry like you do in bridal stores, like I imagine it's just, and it's all about the company culture that you create. And it sounds like you've done a really wonderful job of creating that so that you're not, I'm sure in some bridal stores, like there is a lot of drama, but because you've created that company culture where everybody's building each other up, like it just naturally, like there isn't really room for drama because you're just not about that. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So looking back on your career that you have had, is there anything that you wish you knew at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey that, anything you wish you knew that would help any new or aspiring wedding professionals out there who might be listening today?
For sure. I would say probably the biggest thing when I look back is I didn't really know at the time that I didn't need to be everything to everyone. And I think sometimes as a business owner, you feel like you have to cater to every type of customer and maybe be something you're not to try to either get the sale or, should I be marketing to this type of person? Should I be marketing to that type of person? And so I think for me, I would say being able to figure out who you are as a brand and know who your customer is and know that that's not always going to be everyone. Focus on what you do and figure out what you do well and then go down that route. Don't feel like you have to spread yourself thin, maybe in all these different areas, trying to be something that you're not. So it takes a little bit of time. I think as a brand new store owner or business owner, it may take a little bit to figure it out. But once you figure it out and you feel good and you find your niche, I think you just go for that. And don't stress so much on like, oh, well, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. Find what you do and find who your customer is and focus on that and go down that road and just stay on that line. And I feel like a lot of times as a new business owner, it's hard to see that.
That's super great advice. I think that, when we're starting out, we're just like trying everything and like, see if this works, see if this works.
Mm-hmm.
And we also don't really know who our ideal client is yet because we just haven't maybe we haven't worked with them yet. So we don't know who they are. But once we start to get a couple of those weddings or clients that are really what we're wanting, and then being able to really hone in and focus on that moving forward rather than just continuing with marketing to everybody. That's great advice. I think that's kind of a lesson that we all have to learn at one point or another.
I would say too, also know that your skin is going to get thicker over time because there's always going to be situations that happen. I know, as a business owner, sometimes, there's going to be situations that happen. I feel like there are situations that used to rock me to my core. I would be, so upset if something didn't go right. And, if there was someone that was upset, I would take it so personally. And I still do because I care. But over time, I do feel like you build up a little bit of a thicker skin and things that maybe seem like a huge deal when you're first starting out. 15 years, you'll look back and be like, oh, no, I got that now. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's so true. And it just comes with time and experience. And again, it's something that just like kind of happens naturally, I think, in the industry. But I mean, the wedding industry is like tough. Like there's going to be things that come up that are going to, be difficult for you to manage or deal with emotionally. The episode I shared today was like about the emotional and physical toll of weddings in the wedding industry, which we don't really talk about it all that much, but like it can be really difficult. So I think, thicker skin is something that is really good. It happens over time. And it's hard in the beginning because you're so sensitive to everything. And it feels like a personal attack. Like if something goes wrong or like if someone's upset with you, it's like, oh, it's me. Like I caused this or whatever. So it can be really hard in the beginning, but it does get better over time.
Yes, it gets better for sure.
Okay, so we're getting it close to wrapping up. One of the final things I wanted to ask you is if you have any advice for any wedding pros out there listening who might be interested in like franchising or expanding their businesses, what would you say are the first steps they should take, or what advice do you have for those people?
I would really say that getting all your systems and processes in place is really key. And I feel like it came natural for us because we were replicating a location, a retail space over and over again. Whereas if you're not going through that process, may have systems and processes and procedures, but you may not have them documented. So I would definitely say, first and foremost, make sure that you have nailed down your systems. And from there, if you're feeling good and you have that in place, definitely talking with a franchise attorney to get the paperwork going is definitely a next step. And then I will say even though we had all of our systems and processes documented, it still took me about a year to write our full operations manual. So that is really kind of the time-consuming part. Or so I thought at the time, because that happens. And then from there, you kind of are ready to start talking to people and you're ready to start putting it out there that you're a franchise. And that comes with it's just like each part of the process is like a new step and a new learning process for us. So yeah, once you kind of have everything together and you're feeling like it is a system or process that can be replicated. So that's something too. Like you may have a business where, yeah, this would make sense and be easy in lots of markets. Or you might have something that's so specialized to you that maybe it doesn't make sense for it to be a franchise. And I think that's kind of a question you have to ask yourself is this something that can be replicated? And does it make sense to replicate it? Is it something that financially it makes sense to replicate? Are you going to get a return as being a franchisor? Or is it just going to be too expensive to actually go through all the motions of it? So kind of weighing out, does this make sense or does it not? But yeah, once you get through the legal part, once you get through the operations manual, which ours is about 300 pages, so it's about a couple inches thick. Once you kind of get through that, you're just meeting with people and trying to find the right fit. And I will say that part has been a little, I don't want to say stressful, but it's interesting because you're talking with a lot of people and you're talking about sharing your brand that you built. And obviously, we all know like your business and your brand, it's like a baby. It's like a child. Like you've built it, you've nurtured it, you've made it what it is over time and built it to be the success that it is. So then thinking about sharing it with someone else, it's very much like a marriage. You want to make sure that you're picking the right people because you are committed to these people for a long time. So making sure that it's someone that understands your business, that understands your values, that you align with in terms of work ethic and, morals, all the things. Like you really need to make sure that it's going to be a strong partnership if you are sharing your business and selling it as a franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you described it like a marriage. Yeah. I mean, the closest thing I can think of is like me, having an associate coordinator who goes out and like does weddings under my brand name. Like it's still Event Crush, but it's not me, it's somebody else. And I've talked about it in past episodes, but that's been a whole learning experience for me because you're right. Like they do need to line up with your values and they can't just be some of it, like, and I think, sometimes we get ourselves in a situation where it's like, well, they seemed really great and some of the values aligned, but not all of them. And so it just ends up like not being a great fit, which I'm sure a lot of us have experienced something along those lines. You had said like people came to you asking to franchise, like you had people wanting to franchise, but if people don't have that, like where do you find people to franchise? Like how do you go about finding those people?
So currently we talk about it on our Instagram a little bit. We have a form on our website. We are kind of taking the slow growth approach. Obviously, with Bridal, we're not looking to have, I say this, multiple stores in one city, but we do have 2 in a lot of cities. So I feel like that sounds silly. Bridal stores, I feel like it's not like CVS or Chick-fil-A or, it's not something that you're going to find on every corner. So for us, we're kind of taking our time. And so whereas I think a lot of big franchises would be like really pushing, maybe with like franchise brokers or, going out to find franchisees, we're really kind of taking the approach of sitting back and allowing people to familiarize themselves with our brand on their own and then coming to us and then really just kind of seeing, is this the right fit? Is it the right person? And is it the right market? Because we do get a lot of inquiries for really small towns and cities, and we want to be somewhere. It doesn't have to be in Atlanta or New York, or it doesn't have to be that, but we are looking for cities that people are coming to, like a city that maybe someone would want to travel to, because bridal is very destination, and brides will travel from a lot of, multiple hours away to come and see your selection. They're actually seeking out what designers you have and then finding you that way and coming to your store. So yeah, we haven't taken a real aggressive approach at finding franchisees, but we have had people just kind of coming to us naturally and visiting our website and talking to them that way. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. My one very minimal experience with a franchise was, it's going to sound really random, but there used to be a roller skating rink in our town. It's actually where me and my husband met. And so it was like very special to us. We both worked there for several years, and then it shut down. I don't know exactly when. Several years ago, it shut down. It was like very sad. And so over the years, me and Andrew have joked about like opening up a new skating rink and like running a skating rink. But it's so expensive. But at one point, like we were looking at options, and I came across this one roller skating rink. I feel like they were based in the South or something, but they had like a franchise opportunity. And so I like went to that page. I was reading all about it. I submitted a contact form to like more information about it. And it was just such a huge investment. I was like, there's no way we can do this. But like, I mean, I was really interested in it. Like it could have been cool, but yeah, not the right timing, maybe someday.
Yeah. That sounds fun though.
Yeah.
We have a cool roller skating area here in town, rink, and all the kids go there, and it's just a blast. Yeah. It's fun to watch, and they play fun music, and the adults do it. I've thought about doing it recently, but I'm afraid I'll like break a bone or something. So I'm too old.
Oh, you're never too old. You're never too old. No, it's so fun. I grew up roller skating, and then when I moved here to Oregon from Washington, it was like my first job when I moved here, and then I met my husband like the first day that I came to work, and like met him right away, and so yeah, it holds like a very special place in my heart. I actually have I have like roller skate tattoos on my arm for me and Andrew.
That's a cute story too. That's fun. Do you take your kids roller skating?
Well, we did when the rink was here, but now the closest one is like 2 hours away. And so we have taken them, and we love going there. It's a huge rink. It's really cool, but it's a little, it's a little bit of a drive. So if we're like passing through on the way up to Seattle or something, we'll go. But yeah. Okay. Sorry for that little tangent.
No, I love it.
So, okay. Well, Kerrie, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and insight. I would love to know where listeners can find you online and connect with you and learn more about your bridal shops and all the things that you do.
Absolutely. So you can find us on Instagram at White Magnolia Bridal or Magnolia Laine Bridal. So we have 2 fun Instagram accounts there that you can find us, or our website, whitemagnoliabridal.com, magnolialanebridal.com. Fun fact, we do also have a accessory line that we have curated called Umbrella Bridal. So just a quick plug there for anyone looking for accessories that can be found at Umbrella Bridal on Instagram. Those 3 places would probably be the main spots to go for all your bridal inspiration.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. I will link all of that in the show notes so everyone can check it out. And again, thank you so much, Kerrie. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Event Crushed podcast. I hope you found value in this episode, and if you did, please consider sharing it with a wedding industry friend. We also hope you'll consider leaving a rating or review for the show to help other listeners find it. This podcast is edited and produced by Ace Sound Design. If you're looking to elevate your audio experience, their info can be found in the show description. As always, thank you for listening, and please connect with us on Instagram if you haven't already. Now get out there and crush it.